Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, a defense expert says Daniel Penny's chokehold is not what killed Jordan Neely. Lori Vallow wants to represent herself. An attorney withdraws from the case of a dentist accused of poisoning his wife, obviously delaying the trial. A miracle baby from prison. Mom says she never met the dad. The Leilani Simon woman, yes, she gets what she deserves. A mom abandons her infant for a quick hookup, and this day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. Hit that little bell for notifications. And remember, you can check us out anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Hey, you know what I was doing this morning? I was trying to find somebody. And you know what I did? I went to CrimeTalkSearch.com because I have that background subscription service. And guess what? We got a couple of good addresses on a person that we're looking for in a case. So if there is somebody that you would like to find more about, go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for that background subscription service today, and you'll get a background search literally prepared while you wait, and it will then be emailed to you, and it can be updated when new information becomes available. And it's going to have all kinds of information, like their criminal history, their address, do they own property, do they have liens, judgments? Have they filed for a bankruptcy? Everything that you want to know about a person that they're probably not going to volunteer to you. That's why you need to go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. And listen, you're going to be happy you did. Go do it, please. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for November 22nd, 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe the year is almost over? It's unbelievable to me. And I still have, I think, 3 more trials that I have to do before the end of the year. And I'm a little tired from my one that I did this week, but we won the big issue, so it's okay to be tired. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. The Daniel Penny trial. Now, I have told you I am completely biased on this particular case. Alvin Bragg is the biggest scumbag district attorney in the country, as far as I'm concerned. This case never should have been brought, but this was being done for political reasons, and Daniel Penny should never have been charged. I hope the jury gets it right. I will tell you that straight up. I think he is an innocent man. So a forensic pathologist was called to the stand in the manslaughter trial of Daniel Penny, who is accused of using a fatal chokehold on a homeless man back in over there in New York City on the subway, and has declared that there is insufficient evidence to show that the chokehold caused the victim's death. Now, Dr. Satish Shunduru, who was called to testify by Penny's defense attorneys, blamed Jordan Neely's death on a combination of sickle cell crisis and the effects of synthetic marijuana. Now, Mr. Neely, who had been confronting people on the subway train, specifically the F train, was pronounced dead at the scene after Penny restrained him back in May of last year. Now, the medical examiner ruled the death a homicide, a determination that the defense doctor aggressively disputed yesterday in court. So the doctor, Dr. Shundru, argued that someone like Neely, who was schizophrenic, high, and involved in a struggle, can die without their airway being restricted. Now, the former Miami area medical examiner's statement came in stark contrast to the one delivered just days earlier from the doctor who conducted the autopsy. Dr. Cynthia Harris had maintained it was neither drugs nor the victim's genetic disorder that took Neely's life, while also ruling out cardiac arrest. The chokehold did not cause the death, Dr. Chundru told the court Thursday after being asked for his opinion on the matter by the defense lawyers. He said Neely died from a combination effect of synthetic marijuana, schizophrenia, and the blood condition that can lead to fatal complications during exertion. The good doctor went on to describe how in a chokehold death there are 2 phases, unconsciousness and death. Now, pointing to the video filmed by passengers on the train, he claimed that a visibly struggling Neely was not first rendered unconscious and that he actually died immediately. What's important is unconsciousness always precedes death in a chokehold, he said. This is a very complicated case, he conceded, and says we have schizophrenia involved, sickle cell trait involved, and a chokehold. In a sickle cell crisis, death is a lack of oxygen, he explained. So the same thing as an asphyxia death. The doctor also added that a victim losing consciousness from having their air passage restricted would not necessarily result in death. And the person being choked upon being released would typically wake up, he noted to the jurors. Footage from the incident shows Penny, a former Marine whose old instructor testified to court last week, that holding the choke well after Neely goes limp. Now, the prosecution already rested its case Monday morning, allowing the defense to make its arguments and presentation of evidence throughout the week. Now, prosecutors have attempted to paint Mr. Penny as an unskilled individual, saying he improperly administered a chokehold during the duration of the victim's death. Penny, meanwhile, has admitted to having no formal jiu-jitsu training aside from what was provided to him when he was in the Marines. Now, this past Thursday, the Marine who trained Penny to apply the chokehold, the combat instructor, Joseph Kaballer, conceded that video filmed by witnesses indicates his old student, I should say, there's no cadets in the Marine Corps, looked like that it was done so improperly. However, Kaballer testified that the video appeared to show Penny trying to use a blood choke to restrain Neely, something he said should seen him rendered unconscious within seconds. Instead, the hold spanned more than 6 minutes. Now, during this time, Neely is in Penny's arms, could have inadvertently turned the clench into a air choke, which takes longer to render a person unconscious and could prove fatal. Now, the hold is what was taught by the Marines, is what he said. Now, and I got a little experience with this. This goes to like basic training type stuff. Everybody gets the close combat training. You do the holds. I was a series commander way back, late 90s there in Paris Island, and they're constantly changing that stuff, refining it, and then maybe they get taught it in the fleet as well. But the reality of it is it's a general knowledge of it. Unless you're going to be in some high-speed, low-drag unit, you're probably not going to get this much training after boot camp or your basic infantry training. The guy was trying to help people out on the train, and no one else was going to do it. It's not like there were police on the train. And then the prosecution, they're trying to turn this into some sort of racial thing, which I 100% do not believe it was racially motivated in any way. So anyway, the prosecution will have their opportunity to cross the good doctor today. And just to make it clear, Mr. Penny is charged with manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide, and he faces up to 15 years if he is in fact convicted. Like I said, I believe that he is innocent, and hopefully the jury does the right thing. You never know what a jury will do. It's risky going to trial, but Mr. Penny's got a good defense in this particular case. I don't know. People in New York, I just don't get it. Why do you continually elect attorney generals, district attorneys like Alvin Bragg? Just the worst. Next on the docket, Lori Vallow thinks she wants to represent herself. And I say, let's do it. Well, the judge is a little more cautious. That's right. So Lori Vallow's attorneys are trying to convince a judge there in Maricopa County that Ms. Vallow is competent to stand trial. For those who don't recall, Lori Vallow was convicted last year in Idaho for the death of her children, Tylee and JJ. And she was also convicted of her involvement in the death of Tammy Daybell, her current husband number 5. Yep, that's right. Killed his wife to be with Lori. Anyway, Vallow was sentenced to life in prison there in Idaho, and Chad Daybell was later sentenced to death for the same offenses. Now, Lori outmaneuvered the prosecution because she wouldn't waive speedy trial, and as a sanction for the discovery violations, the judge threw out the death penalty. So she's got a life sentence. So she got a lifetime to think about what she wants to do. Anyway, like I said, now she thinks she wants to be her own attorney in Arizona, and I say yes. Anyway, like I said, last November, Lori Vallow was then extradited from Idaho to Arizona to face 2 conspiracy to commit murder charges there in Maricopa County. One charge is out of Chandler in the death of her former husband. The other stems from a shooting attempt in Gilbert at her niece's ex-husband who wasn't injured. Now, she pled not guilty to the charges in Arizona, has been booked in the jail there in Phoenix for almost a year. Well, last month, one of her prior attorneys requested her competency to be evaluated, and soon after, she was assigned new attorneys who think that Lori Vallow is mentally fit for trial and don't think competency evaluations are actually necessary. And her new attorneys asked the judge to end the process, noting that Vallow wants a speedy trial and wants to represent herself. And the prosecutors argued that Vallow should cooperate with the competency proceedings, which have already started. That's known as a Rule 11 there in Arizona, and it typically means the defendant will be evaluated by a doctor to determine whether she is competent to stand trial. Those evaluations are submitted to the court and the court will review the case to see if it is going to move forward. Now, let's be clear. To be competent, right, you have to basically know and appreciate what's going on in the courtroom, the role of the prosecutor, the role of the defense attorney. What are your charges? What's the role of the judge? What are the possible penalties? Boom. You know that? You're pretty much competent, ladies and gentlemen. You can fog a mirror. You're competent. But there's also another little bailiwick there, so to speak, and that is if you can't assist in your defense. Now, where you usually see this is where the client won't talk about the facts of the case. He wants to talk about, I don't know, whatever else is going on out there. Let's say moon rocks, just by way of example. And the attorney can't get anything done. They can't cooperate. He can't assist in his defense. That's kind of the other area where that falls into competency. Generally, it's not too bad. If somebody's truly mentally ill, they send them off to the hospital and they'll try to restore them back to competency with drugs, and then they decide what they're going to do with them. Sometimes they just never get restored, and then the question is, well, how do we continue to keep somebody in custody that's not competent? You can only usually hold them up to the maximum penalty in which they could have been sentenced on the criminal case. So at some point, you got to let them go, which is not a good plan either. So it's just weird. Now, Lori Vallow is not going anywhere. Let's be absolutely clear on that. She is spending the rest of her life in prison. The only question is she going to do it in Idaho, or is she going to spend a good chunk of it in Arizona first? Probably in Idaho. Anyway, now as you recall, this isn't the first time we've dealt with competency issues in the Lori Vallow case. She was found incompetent and sent to the state hospital there until she was restored, and it took 10 months to do that. So the judge in Arizona now needs to decide whether she is competent to proceed, and he wants to play it safe for the appellate record. So if Vallow is found competent, the judge believes that the case could move forward pretty darn quick, and particularly if she wants to represent herself, because let's go. Hey, she was there. She was there. I'm sure she can get up and explain the whole big thing. It's just a huge mistake, huge misunderstanding, and obviously her brother, Alex Cox, who killed Charles Vallow, her number 4 husband, he's not there to testify, but all she knows is that there must have been something going on, but she didn't do it, and there was no conspiracy. That's her simple defense, ladies and gentlemen. So Lori Vallow is scheduled for another competency hearing next month, and the trial is currently set for February of 2025, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that just yet. Next on the docket, a trial is stopped for the dentist who's accused of poisoning his wife's protein shake. Yes, this is a case here in the Denver area, down in Arapahoe County here in Colorado. And the murder trial for an Aurora dentist accused of poisoning his wife was delayed yesterday after his attorney abruptly withdrew from the case just before jury selection was scheduled to begin. Now, Denver attorney Harvey Steinberg, who I know and is a great attorney, also a very ethical attorney, cited 2 rules of professional conduct as reasoning for his departure from the case. One, that his client was persisting in a course of action that he reasonably believes is criminal or fraudulent, and 2, that his client was insisting on actions he considers repugnant or has a fundamental disagreement with. Normally what that entails is the client wants you to put on perjured testimony. So the attorney withdrew. Good for you, Harvey. And then people always think, oh, defense attorneys will do anything to win. No. Okay, let me tell you. I teach this to all my attorneys, and it's what I live by. Never met a client worth going to jail for, and I've never been paid enough money to lose my law license. Bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. So everyone thinks, oh, defense attorneys will do or say anything. No, they won't. Not ethical ones, all right? Anyway, the judge that this was in front of was Judge Darren Vallow, who I have known since he was a prosecutor in the same judicial district. Then he was a county court judge, and now he's a district court judge. And I can imagine his head was probably about ready to explode when this came up, but he had to do what he had to do. So he let Mr. Steinberg off the case, and now Mr. James Craig, the dentist, is left without representation, and the jury was, literally going to be seated. So obviously the trial has been delayed, and Mr. Craig is due back in court on December 16th, so he can introduce his new attorney, who it is going to be. I don't know. He may be out of money, so Harvey ain't cheap, so I don't know. We'll have to see. He may be being introduced to the public defenders. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, the former dentist is charged, and we'll give him the presumption of innocence, with first-degree murder in the death of his wife, Angela Craig. She died on March 18th of 2023 from lethal doses of cyanide and some other chemical combination where the name is so hard to pronounce, I'm not even going to attempt to do it, but apparently it's a decongestant found in over-the-counter eye drops. Investigators allege James Craig bought the arsenic and the cyanide days before his wife was poisoned to death, searched online about how to poison someone, and was having an affair and faced some financial difficulties. So what's the obvious alleged solution supposed to be? That's right. Kill the wife, the mother of his 5 or 6 kids in this particular case, right? That's going to make things so much easier. Unbelievable. Well, the good doctor is also charged with tampering with evidence and accused of asking 2 different people, including his daughters, to cover up evidence in the case. Now, the couple was married for more than 2 decades and shared 6 kids. Now, police believe that Dr. James Craig, poisoned his wife to death by first dosing her with arsenic, which sent her to the hospital, and then dosing her with cyanide. Now, he received an order of arsenic in the mail on March 4th of 2023, and his wife was first hospitalized on March 6th. What a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. What do we tell you about coincidence? There are no coincidences in criminal law. Now, when she recovered, he ordered more poison, and she was hospitalized again on March 15th of 2023. She didn't recover that time after her second hospitalization and was dead. Anyway, James Craig used a communal computer at his workplace, at his dental office in Aurora, to search the information before his wife's death. Now, searches included: how many grams of pure arsenic will kill a human? Is arsenic detectable in an autopsy? Top 5 undetectable poisons that show no signs of foul play. And how to make poison. The top 10 deadliest plants that can kill you. Now, this is all according to the arrest affidavit, but obviously they searched his searches on the computer. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think that looks good. Presumption of innocence, absolutely. Bad facts, indeed. So we'll continue to follow this case and try to bring it to you live as well if it ever gets to trial. Next, you can't make this stuff up. A miracle baby, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Now, a story broke back in January when a woman's family wanted to know how something like this could possibly happen. Well, their relative got pregnant while in custody, and the DNA results are in, and the dad is another inmate. It's a miracle. Anyway, the young prisoner, a woman by the name of Daisy Link, says she just can't believe how this happened. It's a real twist. It is. Everybody keeps saying this to her. Apparently, it sounds like some Lifetime movie. Anyway, Miss Link has been locked up and awaiting trial on charges of second-degree murder. Police say that Miss Link was holding a gun after shooting her boyfriend in the leg, and he ultimately died from the gunshot. She apparently told her boyfriend, "You'll be fine." Anyway, she's been an inmate in the jail for more than 2 years, but in June, Miss Link gave birth to a baby girl. She describes it as a miracle baby and a blessing. It's a miracle because Miss Link said she's never met the father of her baby face to face. It's a miracle, ladies and gentlemen. It's a miracle. Anyway, that's what Miss Link says. Never met him face to face. It's just crazy. Well, the inmate, the dad, is also an inmate and coincidentally is charged with murder as well. I love these people coming together. Oh, so romantic. They should make a TV movie out of this. Anyway, the DNA results show the dad is inmate number 200147865, also known as Joan, Joan, DePaz, as the father of the child. So when asked, so you guys never physically touched each other, like the whole Virgin Mary thing? Yeah, that's apparently what Miss Link says. All they did was communicate through the vent. I'm guessing somebody could fit through that vent and somebody went into somebody else's cell. Just saying. Anyway, apparently they would knock on the cell and they could hear people from the different floors, and they would stand on the toilet and they would talk with each other and they would pass notes and pictures. And obviously being in isolation for so long, being able to spend hours and hours talking to this person, you know, to the point where it's like you're in the same room with them. Don't they have that like on Love is Blind or something? Isn't that it? This is like the real life version of Love is Blind, not a game show. Who's on the other side? And can you get pregnant through immaculate conception? Amazing. Anyway, these two formed a romantic relationship, and they shared his dream. Anyway, apparently the young man says that he really wanted to have a baby. Of course he did, because he's going to prison for the rest of his life, more than likely, allegedly, given the presumption of innocence. Anyway, and because he knew he's not going to get to do that for a really long time. So if he had to choose somebody, it would be somebody like, Miss Link. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, an immaculate conception. Not sure how it happened, but that's just the way it is. What can I tell you? As we say here on Crime Talk many times, that's right, you just can't make this stuff up. Everything happens for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, Dad is considered like a celebrity on his side of the jail walls. Anyway, the baby's now 5 months old, living with Dad's mom, who became a grandmother for the first time. So proud. Anyway, obviously now Miss Link and Mr. DePaz are now both in different jails and still talk on the phone and see their daughter via video visits. I just don't know what to say, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, there's an investigation going on as to how this could have possibly happened, but I'm assuming a correctional officer may have let somebody in for a little special visit, if you know what I mean. Anyway, love stories, ladies and gentlemen. That's part of what we do here at Crime Talk is not only bring you the news and analysis as it relates to things going on, but to bring you love stories like this. To bring you love stories. All right, next, a Georgia judge sentenced a mother to life in prison after a jury found her guilty of murdering her toddler son, whose remains were found in a landfill. That's right, Leilani Simon, we brought you the trial. She will have to serve at least 40 years before she will be eligible for parole. Now, last month, the jury convicted Miss Simon on 19 charges, including murder, concealing a death, falsely reporting a crime, and 14 counts of lying to investigators. And then on October 5th of 2022, Leilani called the police to report that Quentin Simon, her son, was missing. She told a 911 dispatcher that their front door was open and Quentin must have been abducted. And then for weeks, investigators searched for the little boy. And guess what? They found his remains in a landfill. Anyway, prosecutors argued that Leilani killed Quentin on the morning of October 5th by assaulting him with an unknown object before leaving his body in a dumpster outside of a trailer park near her home. In the days after reporting her son's disappearance, Leilani gave a number of interviews to the police and FBI, which her attorney obviously had fought to keep from being introduced at trial because they were all lies. Anyway, 40 years seems like a pretty good start, as we saw with Susan Smith just the other day. 30 years, they said, nope, not enough for killing 2 young children. Anyway, Miss Simon, you get what you deserve. Next, another Mother of the Year contestant. Have you noticed it's the end of the year? Everyone's trying to get their eligibility in for the end of year winner for Mother of the Year. Anyway, we got another one for you. A woman from Killeen, Texas, was arrested after police found her 16-month-old child left unattended in an apartment while the woman went to San Antonio to meet a guy that she met on some dating app called Hinge. Please meet Reese Louise Myers. She's charged with abandoning and endangering a child. And on July 28th at about 9:50 a.m., police state that they were sent to an apartment complex in Killeen, Texas on a report of a welfare check for a child. According to the arrest affidavit, the caller informed officers prior to arriving at the scene that a child was hanging out of a broken window and that there was a very aggressive dog was trying to attack the child. Once officers arrived on the scene, the police found a toddler with his head and shoulders hanging out of the window of a ground level apartment, and there was a very aggressive dog charging at other residents attempting to help the child. Well, according to the arrest affidavit, the window was not shattered but had been previously repaired with cardboard and plexiglass. When officers got inside, they found a 16-month-old child wearing only a shirt with visible feces on his skin and was showing signs of severe diaper rash. A sweep of the apartment revealed that the child was all alone, except for two dogs that were very protective of the child. Officers also noticed precautions had been taken to leave the child alone without a babysitter, including having other doors closed off, a baby gate blocking off the kitchen area, and having deadbolt locks on the doors and windows. The mother of the child, Miss Myers, was contacted by police, and she was still in San Antonio meeting the dude when they spoke with her. Anyway, Miss Myers told the police that she had a babysitter who she had contacted through Facebook to look in on the child. Anyway, the police met the alleged babysitter who previously had babysat for Miss Myers back in December of 2023, and she told the police she hasn't spoken to her, Miss Myers, that is, until last December. So that story didn't hold up. Anyway, the woman showed police her Facebook messages, and the officers saw no messages from Miss Myers after December of 2023. Now, while at the police station, according to the arrest affidavit, police were approached by another woman who said Miss Myers lived with her for a month in October of 2023 and that Myers showed signs of neglecting the child. The woman said that while Myers was living with her, Myers would leave the house at night and sometimes not return until the next day. Additionally, the affidavit states that the woman claimed Myers would tell her that the child would sleep through the night and not wake up. Well, needless to say, Miss Myers has been arrested and booked into the Bell County Jail. What do we say about moms and their kids? Their duty is to protect the kids, take care of the kids. Unbelievable for a hookup, leaving a child, a 16-month-old child, alone. Please, Colleen, the city there in Colleen or the state, please take the child away from Miss Myers. I don't think that she has the ability to understand the responsibility that she has undertaken here. Next, this day in legal history, on November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. And later that day, Vice President Lyndon Johnson was sworn in as the 36th President of the United States. And Earl Warren, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was later tasked with leading to a commission to investigate the assassination. President Johnson received that final report on the Warren Commission on September of 1964. And maybe, just maybe, we're actually going to be able to find out what really went on, since a lot of stuff has not been released yet. Question is, was it the Russians? Was it the CIA, Deep State, military-industrial complex, or just Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. So police in Ohio have arrested a woman for allegedly stalking her ex-boyfriend, who also stole his wallet and made over $1,000 of charges on his credit card. Please meet Miss Hannah Freeman, a school teacher. That's right, a school teacher is facing charges of menacing by stalking and aggravated theft. According to court records and body cam video shows Miss Freeman showing up to the school where her ex worked on November 7th and sitting in the car for hours. Anyway, the police officers responded to the victim's school while she claimed her ex-boyfriend had invited her there to the school. He said, "No, I didn't." In fact, he said she probably would say that. Anyway, which she apparently had also followed him the previous day to his apartment, and that's where she actually stole stuff from his car, medications, which he needs apparently, his car keys, which he was able to get back from her, as well as a laptop and the wallet, and she ran up on a bunch of charges. Anyway, officers went to the car, questioned her whether she was supposed to actually be there, and she said she was invited and completely denied that she had broken into her ex's car and that she denied stalking him. Anyway, she's taken into custody. She's now on bond. But as you can see, she visited her ex's place of employment some 33 times after the police looked at videos within a 19-day period. And like I said, she made $1,000 worth of charges on his credit card to Amazon. Needless to say, she's also been suspended as her job as a school teacher. So Miss Freeman, not going to be around children. I mean, at least this guy was an adult, but still. Ladies and gentlemen, rule of advice. We used to give the Reich Law Firm rules of dating, okay? When somebody says it's over. Done. It's over. Move on. Stalking is not a way to rekindle the flame of the relationship. Not good idea. It's only going to get you arrested. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.